Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the NextCycle Michigan Roads and Pathway Innovation Challenge Track Roundtable. My name is Kimberly, and I am with Resource Recycling Systems, and I will be your moderator. Here with us today, we have a great panel who is going to discuss the Roads and Pathway Innovation Challenge. And I will quickly go over the agenda and what we have planned for today. We'll begin with an introduction from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, also known as EGLE. Next, we'll have an overview of the Roads and Pathway Innovation Challenge to really understand what the track is, the types of projects who fit within this track, and eligibility. Then we'll open it up to our panel to discuss in a roundtable style a couple of questions that we have. And lastly, we'll wrap it up with next steps. So let's get started. I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Matt Flechter, an EGLE Recycling Market Development Specialist. Matt, thank you for being here with us today. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Kimberly. I'm really glad to be here today to talk to you about the roads track. I'm Matt Flechter with the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, and I work on recycling market development. I'm really happy to talk to you about this roads track because we've been working on this for quite a while now, and it's nice to get it out there to you just so you can get your teams together, get your ideas going, and then we can connect you with the funds necessary to meet your goals. Next slide, please. So NextCycle Michigan has 6 innovation challenges. We're talking about roads today and pathways. With NextCycle, we are using data to guide the decisions so that we have an equitable impact. We provide climate solutions. We connect the economic and environmental opportunity through using public and private partnerships. And those 6 tracks, next slide, please. Those 6 tracks are the food, liquids, and organic waste, intergovernmental initiatives and public-private partnerships, small solutions we call micros, recycling innovation technology, recycling supply chain, and roads. Roads are really important to our supply chain in Michigan because we know that there are so many opportunities to move materials like glass and organics, shingles, concrete, other materials into road construction. When we design these tracks, we recognize that Michigan has a real need to increase improve our roads. And we had the governor identifying that as a major goal of this administration. Governor Whitmer wants to move materials into roads that are sustainable, that protect our climate. And so by creating teams that you are going to be creating and providing funding to connect and leverage those efforts, we will have sustainable roads in Michigan. And I'd like I'll come back to you at the end when we have some questions and answers. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Matt. Next, we'll hear from Brad. He is an analyst with RRS who will walk us through the Roads Innovation Challenge. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Kimberly. If you want to go to the next slide. So the next few slides, I'm going to provide an overview, kind of an introduction to the Roads Challenge track before we get into the roundtable. But this is the track that will be paving a new way for Michigan's roadways. So the challenge statement for the roads track is teams are challenged to expand the use of recycled content in road and pathway construction. So within this track, we're looking at materials that are in need of end market development and using those to help build Michigan's road and path infrastructure. Within the track, we're using a really broad definition when it comes to roads and paths. This can include using recycled materials in things like roads, road bases, and other paved surfaces, paths, trails, roadside growing medium, and related green infrastructure. You can go to the next slide. So on the left, you can see the material streams that are of primary consideration for the roads track. These material streams were identified as part of the 2020 NextCycle Michigan gap analysis work that was done leading into the challenge track, kind of part of the program. And these materials are seen as those with opportunities for significant growth in end market development within the state. So priority for these materials will be built into the criteria that's used to select teams that can participate in the roads track. This isn't to say that projects only focusing on these materials are eligible for the track, but they will be given primary consideration, because they are in need of end market development. And actually, can you go back to the other slide real quick? Perfect, thanks. So with that kind of focus on end market development in mind, the focus for this track is using recycled commodities as inputs for road and path projects. And then you can go to the next slide. So on top of a number of other benefits that we're going to discuss a little bit later during the roundtable that are available to teams that are going to be participating in the roads track, there will be funding opportunities available. So teams may be connected directly with partners or investors as they work through the track, to access funding. Matt will be speaking to this a little bit later, but there will be teams will be prepared to apply for Eagle grant funding that has been specifically earmarked for those that participate in the roads track. And then finally, teams may be eligible for some award pool funding from NextCycle partners based on specific project criteria that's laid out by the partners, and project selection that will take place as the teams will be selected by an expert panel. Sorry. Next slide. So eligibility for the track is very broad. There's really 4 main criteria for teams to be eligible for the roads track. The project needs to be Michigan-based, even if the team that is applying is not. We're looking for projects that will impact the state. It needs to be focused on material that would be otherwise have been wasted. The technology that's being developed as part of the project or utilized needs to be proven or technically feasible. And finally, we want projects that are scalable and can be implementable, after the challenge track experience is completed. So at a really high level, these are the elements that are needed for a roads application, but it really starts out with a good idea. When teams are applying, we'll need to get a sense of the project that you're going to be working on and the road specific needs that the project will be addressing in the state, along with any partners that you're planning to work with. We'll want to know things like the specific material you'll be targeting, the Michigan region or geography that the project will be based in, potential metrics, and then any environmental or equitable impacts that may happen from the project. And then along with consideration of project feasibility, we really want to know that teams are committed to going through the challenge track experience. And again, developing these scalable solutions that can have a positive impact in the state. And so I will hand it back to you now, Kimberly, to introduce our roundtable.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Great information. And so now I'd like to welcome all of our panelists to turn on their cameras so we can kind of see everyone and begin this roundtable question. All right. Let me change the view really quick. All right. So welcome everyone. And so we'll start with our first question. I'm sorry if you see me, I'm looking at my other screen here. But our first question is for Elisa, and it's just
I'm gonna call a pause real quick.
Oh yeah.
But if we're gonna have this view, is there a way that we can either bring Bill in and be part of the party or
yeah,
have Bill? I mean,
my apologies. Does it show up that I'm?
Yeah.
No, my bad. I'll. You know what?
No problem at all. I
I thought of the
more the
same
merrier. If we want to have a big party here, we can do that.
It occurred. No. My apologies. I thought I could just hover the distance, but the transparency is such that it's awkward. So why don't I just sign off? Because I don't want to be an inadvertent additional panel. That's stupid too.
I'm gonna pause you before you go. Let's just give you something that you can add to it. You're a panel, or did we not have the introduction at the beginning with his?
You'd have to readjust the rest of it, I think.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, Matt. It's funny. I thought I could just listen in as a fellow.
Yeah, I would love it. Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much it would muck up the works.
No problem at all. We'll roll with it. And
can I just sign off and still save the would
that be okay?
Yeah.
That'll be
Does that
fine.
work? Kimberly, does that
Yep,
work?
That
Okay.
works.
All right. Anyway, hey, one real quick on slide 11, feasible is misspelled, I think. It's been that way for a little while, but I don't think you need to redo the whole picture, but I noticed that. Okay. Hey, yeah, my
Great
apologies.
call.
You're doing great. All the power to you.
All right.
I'll look
Thanks,
forward.
Bill.
He's got a DJ gig to get it to anyway.
Yeah, I do. It's getting to be that hour. Yeah, the happy hour time. All right. Take care, folks.
All right. See you,
Again,
Bill.
My bad. Okay, bye.
All right. So I'll just start here again. So whenever we're editing. So now we'll go to our roundtable question and answer. And welcome to all of our panelists. And we'll start with the first question that'll go to Elisa. And so that first question is, what does this Road Innovation Challenge Track mean to the state of Michigan?
Well, thanks, Kimberly. I think Matt covered this really well. We have a goal for the state of Michigan to reach a 45% recycling rate. We have a lot of recycled materials in the state that need good, strong end markets. And the state of Michigan, county road commissions, townships, and cities lay a lot of road miles every year. A lot of materials and energy and effort go into that road construction, pathway construction in parks. And by utilizing recycled content, the kinds of things that were mentioned before, just a small percentage increase in a mix can make a really, really big difference for our recycling rate, for the amount of recycled content that's used in roads. It becomes an end market pull so that more of the infrastructure that's needed to get those materials to those markets can be developed.
I love that, Elisa. Talking about the end market pull, recycling needs a supply and a demand. So with roads, we have high volume uses of materials, and some of the most exciting innovations taking place in the road space right now are in using recycled content materials, reducing the cost and increasing the longevity, thinking about tires and aggregate glass in roads. There's so many really great opportunities to innovate our road system.
Thank you for sharing that. Dan, this question goes over to you. Centropolis really understands the importance of an accelerator experience. Can you talk to what is the benefit of these teams being able to participate in this type of accelerator?
Well, I think what's great about the NextCycle Michigan program, specifically the roads challenge, is that it not only offers an opportunity for funding to support a recycled road project, but it also provides accelerator services. And for those that are less familiar with accelerator services, that really can cover many different things, including support of your individual business, your project plan, and specifically the NextCycle Michigan Roads program, whether you have a really established technology and you're just looking to get that into Michigan roads through communities, or you're introducing a new technology for recycled content into road materials. This program allows you to work with very experienced people, not only with Eagle and RRS and Centropolis, but other experts will bring in a bear to really support that project plan. So that's looking at developing milestones, a timeline. It's really identifying gaps in the project plan that would then help us develop a plan to bring in new team members, partners, maybe additional funding if needed, certainly a risk assessment on the project. That's all a part of the offering of the accelerator. And for individual companies, we're also looking at how we can deploy our proven methodology of supporting your commercial readiness, technology readiness, even manufacturing readiness levels. And that's, supporting business and technical milestones for the individual companies that apply and go through this program, even introducing to new customers, strategic partners, suppliers, talent, raising investment and securing additional funding on top of what the program can offer. And just having the benefit of working one-on-one very, exclusively with the Eagle, RRS, and Centropolis team has significant, data on the Michigan recycling value chain, right, and waste value chain, and really can support your business planning and your project planning in a really meaningful way. So.
Great insight. Thank you, Dan. And I think everyone on this call has kind of touched on it, and I'm sure participants are wanting to know what type of funding they will receive participating in the Roads Innovation Challenge. So Matt, do you kind of want to talk about the Eagle funding opportunities that are associated with this track?
Right. First of all, NextCycle is a process to connect funders, leverage state dollars, and connect funders with actionable projects, shovel-ready projects where they can activate their dollars into projects to meet their sustainability goals. And so what Eagle is doing is we're leveraging those state dollars through the Renew Michigan Fund. And for the Roads Challenge track, we will have a minimum of $250,000 available specifically for those participants in the track. And then up to $8 million total is what we're spending on from the Renew Fund for infrastructure and market development activities. So there's a significant investment in projects of this type. And what we want to do is bring more funding to the table. We know that to be successful, we can't do this only on the backs of state government funding. We need to leverage additional funding. And that's what NextCycle is all about.
Absolutely. So there are also award pool funds designated for teams or projects that meet certain criteria. So one example could be funding available for a roads project that includes use of scrap tires. Another example would be for a roads project using recycled content that will be developed in Washtenaw County. The other thing is that along the way through the challenge track, there are going to be opportunities for funders and investors to become aware of your project, and we will constantly be matchmaking as you move through the track process.
Is making those connections. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, now I'd like to open our last question to the entire panel. And what makes a good roads applicant?
So I'll start out on this. I think a thing we've been talking about with the application, I think it's going to be really big, is finding a good partner or finding good partners in the state. Like Matt had mentioned, it's about making connections and really driving increased use of these recycled commodities. So finding good partnerships to make these projects scalable and successful is going to be a huge part of it. One thing we are really looking for in these projects, though, is the environmental and equitable impact. Projects that serve communities that potentially are currently, I guess, a little underserved. But really thinking about where there's gaps in the state and how really working to fill those gaps.
And I think it's important that those partners could look, could be in different parts of the existing ecosystem, right? So it could be you need to identify someone that has a very specific waste stream, whether you're using rubber, glass, or polymers. It could be those that are involved in transportation, warehousing, shredding, and then, downstream, those that obviously are in the community that really want to use this recycled content. And, having partners involved in your application up front, obviously is going to make it very attractive, but to the degree you have some partners, but not all, is perfectly okay. In fact, that's what the program is looking at, is how do we help you, fill those gaps with companies and organizations and communities in Michigan that can help support that project to really be meaningful and to play out here in the state of Michigan.
Lisa, you're on mute.
Another thing that would make a good team is the impact. What would be the volume of material that would be used in your project? Is it scalable or replicable in other communities? What is the environmental impact? Are there jobs benefits in terms of, added jobs. So all of those impacts, social, environmental, and economic, will be looked at in terms of the potential when evaluating teams.
Yeah, I think innovation is another key part of it. I think that in this space, there's been so much research and analysis done, and let's get them deployed in Michigan. Let's take those best practices from around the world and find something cool that we're using innovative materials in road construction or paths. Something that's going to make a good team from my perspective is something that makes you go, wow, that's pretty cool. Let's do that here.
Yeah, so, as mentioned when I was kind of going through the overview, we have our priority materials, but really a broad definition again when we're thinking about road and path construction. So, a couple of example projects, it may be the use of scrap tires in like aggregate or chip seal and repairing stretches of roadway. It could be, a public agency that wants to use finished compost in some sort of like revegetation project or something like that. It could be even so far as potentially like the use of mixed plastics in the production of like railroad ties, for example. So really a wide range of projects that can fit into the roads track.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that insight, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead and bring Brad back over so he can wrap it up and talk about next steps.
All right, we want to go to, there we go, next slide. Perfect. All right, so the application period for the roads track is really just around the corner, only a few weeks out. Applications will be opening for roads on October 15th. Teams will be able to go to the website that's listed here and apply for the challenge track. We've really designed the application to be straightforward, relatively easy to use. It should end up being about 3 to 4 pages of written content. But teams will be able to go to the website, download a packet with instructions on how to fill out the application. And then there's an online form that we're using where teams can go in and provide their answers. And then you can go to the next slide. So when teams are thinking about preparing their application, we have several resources that are available that can help them out. These can be accessed through our NextCycle Michigan website, where we have a really great resource library that includes things like reports, including the 2020 gap analysis, which we've talked about quite a bit on this. And then we also have some stories of projects that are going on around the state, help generate some ideas or kind of highlight what's going on to help teams think about, what they may do for a project. And then we have data visualizations as well to, highlight some of the data work that's gone into developing the NextCycle program. So if teams have, any questions leading up to or during the application process, they're welcome to reach out to us at the email address listed here. Along with the application packet, there will also be a link to sign up for one-on-one 15-minute meetings where teams can ask questions about eligibility, the application process. We have a couple other tracks I'll be launching around the same time, think about where they may best fit. The NextCycle team is really here to help. So we encourage teams to reach out and, I'm sure we can find a place where their project will fit in. And so with that, I'll wrap up the roundtable and thank everybody again for being here. As mentioned, visit the NextCycle website, send us an email to our email address with questions, and looking forward to seeing the projects that the roads track gets.